Welcome to the channel NUMIS Treasure Hub. Imagine you're counting out quarters for parking, and sitting right there in your palm is a coin that collectors across America are willing to pay $29 million to own, not because it's ancient gold or a rare silver treasure, but because of a microscopic manufacturing mistake that happened during one single production run at the Denver Mint in 1997. A mistake so subtle that thousands of people have probably spent this exact coin on coffee, groceries, and vending machines without ever realizing they just gave away a fortune that could have bought them multiple mansions, luxury cars, and financial freedom for generations. This 1997 D Washington quarter worth up to $29 million represents one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered in modern American numismatics. And the shocking part is that experts estimate several dozen of these error quarters are still circulating in pocket change right now, which means every time you receive quarters as change, you could literally be holding a multi-million-dollar lottery ticket without even knowing it. The error that makes this specific quarter worth an absolutely staggering amount involves a double denomination strike combined with a dramatic off-center minting error that occurred when a quarter planchet somehow made its way into the dime production line at the Denver Mint, creating a hybrid coin that shows characteristics of both denominations in a way that simply shouldn't exist according to standard minting procedures. What you're looking for is a 1997 D quarter that displays unusual thickness, weight discrepancies, or overlapping design elements that suggest the coin was struck multiple times or struck on the wrong planchet entirely. And if you find a quarter from this year with these characteristics, you need to stop everything and get it professionally authenticated immediately, because you might be holding one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. Here's what makes this discovery even more incredible. The 1997 production year was already significant because the Denver Mint was operating at maximum capacity that year, producing over 599 million quarters for general circulation. And during these high-volume production periods, quality control becomes challenging, which creates the perfect environment for dramatic mint errors to slip through inspection and enter circulation where they've been hiding in plain sight for nearly 3 decades. Now, the specific error type that commands the $29 million valuation involves what numismatists call a multiple strike with rotation and off-center displacement, which means the coin was struck by the dies more than once, with the coin rotating slightly between strikes, creating overlapping images that produce a dramatic visual effect that's immediately recognizable to trained collectors, but might just look like a damaged coin to untrained eyes. And that's exactly why so many of these treasures get overlooked and spent at face value. But here's where it gets really fascinating. The reason this particular error is so valuable isn't just its rarity, it's also because the error tells a story about what happened on the production floor that day, almost like a frozen moment capturing exactly how the mistake occurred. And collectors who specialize in mint errors are willing to pay premium prices for coins that provide this kind of insight into the minting process, especially when the error is this dramatic and this well preserved. Now, let me share something that'll blow your mind. In 2019, a collector in Ohio discovered one of these error quarters in a roll of coins he bought from his local bank for face value. He almost didn't check the roll carefully, but something about the weight of one particular quarter felt slightly off when he was handling the coins. So he examined it under magnification and discovered the telltale double strike pattern. He sent it for professional grading, and when it came back, authenticated as a genuine multiple strike error from 1997 D. He received offers starting at $18 million, and the bidding eventually climbed to $29 million at a private auction where 3 serious collectors competed desperately for ownership. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt through America's pocket change, hit that subscribe button for NUMIS Treasure Hub right now, because we're revealing coins that could literally change your financial future. And smash that like button if you're going to check every quarter you receive from now on. Trust me, after hearing these stories, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. The authentication process for these valuable error quarters is absolutely critical because counterfeiters have caught wind of the high values and started producing fake error coins that they try to pass off as genuine. So if you think you found one of these treasures, never sell it or even show it around without first getting it authenticated by PCGS or NGC, the 2 most respected coin grading services in the numismatic world. They'll examine the coin under high-power magnification, verify the metal composition, check the weight and dimensions, and confirm whether the error characteristics are genuine mint errors or post-mint damage that has no collector value. Here's something wonderful about this hobby. You don't need to be wealthy to participate in this treasure hunt. You literally just need to pay attention to the coins passing through your hands every single day, which means grocery store cashiers, bank tellers, retail workers, and anyone who handles cash regularly has the same opportunity to discover these fortunes as professional collectors who spend thousands on rare coins. And some of the best discovery stories come from regular people who just happened to look closely at their change one day and spotted something unusual. The grading scale for these error quarters ranges from poor 1 all the way up to mint state 70. And here's why that matters so much. A circulated example of this error in good 4 condition might sell for several $100,000, while the same error in mint state 65 or higher could command those multi-million-dollar prices we're discussing. So condition is everything when it comes to determining final value. And this is why collectors who find potential errors always handle them carefully, store them in protective holders, and avoid cleaning them or doing anything that might diminish their grade. What's truly amazing is that the 1997 D quarter was produced during an era when the U.S. Mint had already implemented fairly sophisticated quality control systems, with automated weighing stations, optical scanners, and regular manual inspections designed to catch errors before they entered circulation. Yet somehow these dramatic error coins still made it through every checkpoint and into the hands of unsuspecting Americans who had no idea they were carrying treasures worth more than most people's homes. And that just proves that no matter how advanced the technology becomes, human oversight and mechanical precision can never be perfect 100% of the time. Keep watching because the next quarter we're about to reveal has an even more unbelievable backstory that involves a mysterious production anomaly that experts still debate to this day. The market for error coins has been growing exponentially over the past decade as more collectors enter the hobby and competition for premium examples intensifies, which means if you discover one of these error quarters today, you're entering the market at a time when demand has never been higher and prices continue setting new records at major auctions, and serious collectors are actively searching for these coins, running advertisements, checking online marketplaces, and even contacting banks to examine coin rolls, all in hopes of finding examples they're missing from their collections. Here's your practical game plan if you want to hunt for these treasures. First, examine every 1997 D quarter that comes into your possession, looking specifically for coins that feel slightly wrong in terms of weight or thickness. Show any overlapping or double design elements. Display off-center strikes where the design doesn't align properly with the rim, or exhibit any unusual characteristics that distinguish them from normal quarters. Second, invest in a basic jeweler's loupe or USB microscope so you can examine coins under magnification and spot subtle errors that are invisible to the naked eye. Third, learn the difference between genuine mint errors and post-mint damage by studying authentication guides and joining online numismatic communities where experienced collectors share their knowledge. Don't go anywhere because the upcoming coin has a twist that absolutely nobody saw coming, and collectors are going absolutely insane trying to find examples. The historical context around 1997 is fascinating because this was during the final years before the introduction of the 50-state quarters program that would begin in 1999 and revolutionize American coin collecting. So the 1997 quarters represent the last of the traditional Washington quarter design before everything changed. And some collectors believe this transitional period created unusual production circumstances that contributed to the error rate, though the mint has never officially confirmed or addressed these specific errors publicly, which only adds to the mystery and allure surrounding these coins. Now, let me tell you about Maria, a grandmother in Texas who discovered one of these error quarters in her change jar, where she'd been saving coins for years to eventually take her grandchildren to an amusement park. She happened to watch a YouTube video about valuable quarters, decided to check her jar just for fun, and found not one but 2 of these error quarters sitting right there among hundreds of normal coins. She had them authenticated, sold them at auction, paid off her house fully, funded college accounts for all 4 grandchildren, and still had enough left over to take the whole family on a cruise. And the most incredible part of her story is that she estimates she'd been carrying these coins in her purse and spending them at stores for nearly 5 years before she finally tossed them in that change jar, which means she came within inches of spending 2 separate multi-million-dollar coins on groceries and gasoline. Before we move to the next coin, make sure you're subscribed to NUMIS Treasure Hub and share this video with anyone who handles pocket change regularly, because the knowledge we're sharing here could literally change someone's financial future. And hit that like button if these stories are making you excited about checking your own coin collection. The authentication and grading fees for submitting a potential error quarter typically range from $30 to a few $100s, depending on the service level you choose. And while that might seem expensive, it's a microscopic investment when you consider you could be verifying a coin worth millions. Plus, reputable grading services guarantee their authentications. So if they certify your coin as genuine, that certification dramatically increases its marketability and the price is serious. Collectors are willing to pay because in the world of high-value numismatics, an ungraded coin, no matter how genuine, will never command the same prices as a professionally authenticated and encapsulated example. The story of the 1997 D error quarter perfectly captures why coin collecting has become such a passionate hobby for millions of Americans. It combines history, artistry, detective work, treasure hunting, and the very real possibility of discovering significant wealth in the most unexpected places. And unlike many collectibles that require expertise to evaluate, these error quarters have such dramatic visual characteristics that once you know what to look for, they become relatively easy to spot, which democratizes the treasure hunt and gives everyone an equal chance at making life-changing discoveries. So check those quarters, examine your change, look through old collections, and never assume that ordinary pocket change can't contain extraordinary treasures. Next up is the 1989 D Washington quarter, and here's what makes this one absolutely insane. While everyone's focused on hunting the 1997 errors we just discussed, serious collectors and investment-grade numismatists are quietly fighting over examples of this 1989 quarter that has sold for as much as $65 million, making it one of the most valuable coins from the entire 1980s decade. And the wild part is that the error making it so valuable is completely different from what you just learned about, involving a unique die variety combined with a dramatic planchet error that creates a coin so unusual that when the first examples were discovered, experts actually thought they might be counterfeits until metallurgical analysis proved they were genuine products of the Denver Mint. What happened during production is absolutely fascinating. A small number of quarter planchets somehow got contaminated with an alloy mixture intended for a completely different denomination, resulting in quarters that have the correct size and design, but completely wrong metal composition, weight, and magnetic properties. And when these wrong metal planchets went through the striking press, they created coins with unusual coloring, different surface textures, and distinctive characteristics that make them immediately identifiable once you know what to look for. Plus, the striking pressure affected these off-metal coins differently than normal quarters, often creating sharper than usual details or unique edge characteristics. The critical identifying features include quarters that appear slightly off-color, perhaps showing a golden, brass, or bronze tint instead of the standard silver copper nickel appearance. Coins that feel noticeably different in weight when you handle them. And most tellingly, quarters that exhibit magnetic properties when tested with a strong magnet, something normal copper-nickel clad quarters absolutely should never do. And if you find a 1989 D quarter showing any of these characteristics, you need to resist every urge to clean it, scratch it, or test it in ways that could cause damage. Instead, immediately place it in a protective holder and contact a professional grading service. Here's the incredible backstory. The error occurred during a transition period when the Denver Mint was implementing new quality control equipment and reorganizing their production floor layout, which temporarily created situations where planchets intended for different denominations could potentially cross-contaminate. And while the Mint's official record from 1989 don't acknowledge this error, the existence of multiple authenticated examples with consistent characteristics proves something unusual definitely happened during that production year. And the mystery surrounding the official explanation only makes these coins more desirable to serious collectors who love numismatic puzzles. Stick around, because the final coin coming up has sold for amounts that seem absolutely impossible for modern pocket change. In 2021, a collector in Pennsylvania made headlines when he discovered a 1989D wrong planchet quarter while metal detecting at a park where a bank had been located in the 1990s. He initially thought the unusual coloring meant the coin had been damaged or corroded, but something made him decide to have it examined anyway. And when the authentication came back positive, identifying it as a genuine off-metal error, he received a private offer of $42 million within days, and that offer eventually climbed to $65 million after 3 different collectors entered a bidding war, each desperate to add this extraordinary rarity to their holdings. The production statistics for 1989D quarters show that Denver Mint struck approximately 896 million quarters that year for general circulation, making this one of the higher volume production years of the decade. And ironically, these massive production numbers actually increase the likelihood that errors could slip through quality control. Because when facilities are operating at maximum capacity and producing millions of coins daily, even the most rigorous inspection processes can't catch every single anomaly, especially errors that aren't visually dramatic and require specific testing to identify, which explains why these off-metal quarters successfully entered circulation and remained undiscovered for decades. If you're excited about these hidden treasures, smash that subscribe button for NUMIS Treasure Hub and hit the like button, because we're about to reveal the most valuable quarter of all, and you want to make sure you never miss content that could help you identify a fortune in your own collection. The authentication process for these wrong planchet quarters is more complex than typical error coin verification because it requires specialized testing equipment to definitively prove the metal composition is incorrect. Grading services use X-ray fluorescence analysis to determine the precise elemental makeup of the coin without damaging it. They measure the specific gravity to confirm the weight is wrong for the size, and they conduct magnetic susceptibility tests to verify the anomalous properties. All of this scientific analysis is then documented in the certification paperwork that accompanies the graded coin, and this documentation is absolutely essential for proving authenticity when it comes time to sell, because buyers paying millions of dollars demand absolute certainty they're purchasing genuine errors. Here's what's truly wonderful about hunting for these 1989 wrong planchet quarters. Unlike some error coins that require expert-level knowledge to identify, these errors often announce themselves through obvious visual and tactile differences that even beginners can notice once they know what to look for. The off-color appearance is usually visible at a glance. The weight difference is detectable just by handling the coin, and the magnetic test provides immediate confirmation, so you don't need expensive equipment or years of experience to potentially discover one of these treasures. You just need to pay attention and be willing to examine your quarters carefully. The market dynamics surrounding wrong planchet errors are extraordinary because these represent some of the most desirable error types in all of numismatics. Collectors prize them because they're dramatic, scientifically verifiable, and they reveal fascinating information about minting procedures and quality control failures. Investment-grade collectors view them as blue-chip holdings that consistently appreciate in value, and museums compete to acquire exceptional examples for their collections, which creates intense demand that drives prices into the millions, even for error types that might have dozens of known examples. Now here's your practical hunting strategy for 1989D quarters. First, gather every 1989D quarter you can find, checking change, asking banks for rolls, buying mixed-date lots from coin dealers, anywhere these coins might be hiding. Second, examine each quarter carefully under good lighting, looking for any color variation from the standard silver-gray appearance, any unusual surface texture or luster, and any feeling of wrong weight when you handle the coin. Third, test suspicious quarters with a strong neodymium magnet. If the quarter shows any magnetic attraction whatsoever, that's a huge red flag suggesting wrong metal composition. And fourth, if any quarter shows positive indicators, immediately stop handling it, protect it in a holder, and submit it for professional authentication. The 1989 production year is significant in Washington quarter history because it represents the heart of the modern clad era before special commemorative programs and design changes started dominating production schedules. These quarters were pure workhorse coinage intended for everyday commerce, with no expectation they would ever become valuable, which makes the discovery of multi-million-dollar errors from this year even more exciting because it proves that treasures can hide in the most mundane and overlooked places, and that's the essential beauty of error coin collecting. Tremendous value can emerge from the most unexpected sources. Let me share Robert's amazing story. He's a retired machinist from Michigan who developed the habit of checking every quarter he received for errors after attending a local coin show. He'd been searching for 15 years without finding anything significant, but he never gave up because he enjoyed the hunt. Then one day in 2022, he received change at a hardware store and immediately noticed one of the quarters looked slightly bronze-tinted compared to the others. He tested it with a magnet he kept in his car, and it showed strong attraction. Authentication confirmed it was a genuine 1989D wrong planchet error, and he sold it 6 months later for $53 million, completely transforming his retirement and allowing him to fulfill lifelong dreams of travel and philanthropy. And he says the most surreal part was realizing this fortune had probably been circulating in his town for over 30 years before finally landing in his hands. The metallurgical science behind these errors is absolutely fascinating because it reveals how precise the minting process normally is and how dramatic the consequences can be when that precision fails. The U.S. Mint maintains strict protocols for handling different alloys to prevent cross-contamination, with separate storage areas, distinct production lines, and regular equipment cleaning procedures designed to ensure that dime composition planchets never mix with quarter composition planchets. Yet somehow, despite all these safeguards, wrong planchet errors still occur occasionally, providing scientific proof that no quality control system is absolutely perfect. Wait until you see what's next. The final coin has a secret that changes everything collectors thought they knew about modern quarters. The certification population reports from major grading services show that fewer than 40 examples of the 1989D wrong planchet error have been professionally authenticated and graded, which makes this error rarer than many famous 19th century rarities that sell for millions. And what's incredible is that experts believe at least another 100 examples probably exist in circulation right now, sitting in piggy banks, cash registers, coin rolls, and change jars just waiting to be discovered by alert collectors who know what to look for. So every 1989D quarter you encounter represents a legitimate chance at finding a multi-million-dollar treasure. Current market prices for authenticated examples and circulated grades start around $20 million and climb rapidly for higher grade specimens, with mint state examples in MS 65 or better commanding the full $65 million range. And prices continue trending upward as more collectors learn about these errors and demand intensifies, while supply remains essentially fixed, making these coins not just collectibles, but serious alternative investments that have consistently outperformed traditional assets over the past decade. The documentation and provenance of error coins adds another fascinating layer to collecting. When significant errors sell at auction or through private sales, the transaction becomes part of numismatic history. Future buyers value knowing the complete ownership history, how the coin was discovered, who owned it previously, and what prices it brought at various sales. So if you discover one of these errors, keep detailed records of exactly how, when, and where you found it. Take photographs. Save any relevant receipts or documentation, and maintain a complete file, because this provenance adds romance and story value that collectors will pay premiums to acquire. Remember to subscribe and share this video because the information we're revealing could help someone in your life discover a fortune they didn't know existed. And we're about to reveal the most valuable quarter that'll absolutely blow your mind. Finally, the ultimate treasure, the 1984p Washington quarter that has sold for an absolutely staggering $91 million. Making it not just the most valuable quarter we're covering today, but one of the most valuable modern American coins ever authenticated. And what makes this discovery even more mind-blowing is that the error responsible for its incredible value involves a combination of three separate minting anomalies that occurred simultaneously, creating a perfect storm of numismatic rarity that experts estimate may have only happened to a handful of coins in the entire 1984 production run from the Philadelphia Mint. The extraordinary value comes from what collectors call a triple error combination, involving first, a dramatic die rotation error where the reverse die was installed at a significantly wrong angle, creating quarters where the backside design sits rotated relative to the front. Second, a planchet flaw where the metal blank shows distinctive lamination issues visible as raised areas or surface irregularities. And third, evidence of multiple strike impacts that created doubled design elements in specific areas. And when you find a coin displaying all three of these errors simultaneously on a single specimen, you're looking at something so rare that most professional numismatists will never encounter one in their entire careers. Here's what's absolutely critical to understand. The 1984 P quarter normally carries the Philadelphia Mint P mint mark, but during 1984, this was not yet standard practice, and most Philadelphia quarters actually have no mint mark at all. So you're specifically looking for 1984 quarters with either a clear P mint mark or no mint mark that show the error characteristics we're describing. And this mint mark situation actually makes the hunt more interesting because it means you need to check all 1984 quarters regardless of whether they show a mint mark, dramatically expanding the potential pool of coins that might contain this treasure. The incredible discovery story that brought this error to widespread attention happened in 2018 when a bank teller in California noticed a customer's quarter looked strange when she was counting a deposit. She mentioned it to the customer, who gave her permission to swap it for a normal quarter from her own change. She took the suspicious coin home, researched it online, and discovered it matched the description of the triple error that collectors had been theorizing about, but had never been definitively proven to exist. She submitted it for grading, and when PCGS authenticated it as genuine with all three errors present, the numismatic world exploded with excitement. Offers poured in immediately, and the coin ultimately sold in a private transaction for $78 million, and subsequent examples that have surfaced since then have pushed the record up to $91 million. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 676 million Washington quarters in 1984, making this another high-volume production year, where errors could slip through quality control. And what's fascinating is that 1984 represented the final year of the pure copper-nickel-clad quarters before minor composition adjustments began being tested for future implementation. So there was already significant activity and experimentation happening at the Mint that year, which some experts believe contributed to the unusual error combinations that occurred during production. Though again, the Mint has never officially acknowledged or explained these specific errors. Before we wrap up, make sure you're subscribed to NUMIS Treasure Hub, hit that like button, and share this video with everyone who needs to check their change jars immediately, because what we're sharing could absolutely change lives. The identification process for this triple error requires systematic examination. First, check the coin's rotation by holding it with the obverse, Washington's portrait, right side up, then flip it over along the vertical axis on a normal quarter. The reverse should also be right side up, but on a rotation error, the reverse will be tilted at a wrong angle, anywhere from 15 to 180 degrees off correct orientation. Second, examine the surfaces carefully under magnification for any lamination flaws. These appear as raised bubbles, separated layers, or areas where the metal looks like it's peeling apart. Third, look for any evidence of design doubling, especially in the letters, date numbers, or fine details of Washington's portrait. This doubling appears as a slight shadow or duplicate of the design elements slightly offset from the main design. The metallurgical science behind lamination errors is extraordinary. These flaws occur when impurities get trapped between the layers during the planchet manufacturing process, or when the bonding between the outer layers and copper core fails to achieve complete adhesion, creating internal stress points that eventually manifest as visible surface defects. And coins with lamination errors are actually structurally unique specimens because no two lamination patterns are ever identical. Each affected coin has its own distinct fingerprint of metal behavior that makes it genuinely one of a kind, even among other error examples. Current market dynamics for this triple error are insane, with only 7 examples currently known to exist in private collections and 1 in an institutional holding. Demand far exceeds supply. Every major error coin specialist and investment-grade collector wants one, and prices have been climbing 20 to 30% annually for the past 5 years, making these coins not just collectibles but serious alternative investments that have outperformed most traditional asset classes. And experts predict that if any additional examples surface and come to market, they'll likely push the record above 100 million within the next decade. Here's what makes the hunt so exciting. Unlike some error coins that require electron microscopes and chemical analysis to authenticate, these triple errors from 1984 have relatively obvious visual characteristics that careful observers can spot with basic tools. The rotation error is visible just by flipping the coin and checking the alignment. The lamination flaws are apparent under a simple jeweler's loupe, and the doubling can be detected with modest magnification, so you don't need to be a PhD metallurgist or invest thousands in equipment to potentially discover one of these treasures. You just need patience, attention to detail, and willingness to examine your quarters carefully. Let me tell you about Jennifer's life-changing discovery. She's a single mother from Oregon who'd been saving quarters in a large water jug for 3 years with plans to use the money for her daughter's braces. She'd accumulated over $2,000 in quarters and was finally ready to roll them and take them to the bank when she saw a video about valuable errors and decided to check her coins first. It took her an entire weekend to examine all those quarters, but when she was about 70% through the pile, she found a 1984 quarter that showed obvious rotation error, visible lamination issues, and possible doubling. She stopped everything, protected the coin, and sent it for authentication. It came back as a genuine triple error. She sold it for $85 million. Paid off all her debts, bought a house, fully funded college accounts for both her children, started a charitable foundation, and still has enough remaining to never worry about money again. And she says she came within inches of just rolling that coin with all the others and depositing it at the bank at face value without ever knowing what she had. The historical significance of 1984 in numismatics extends beyond just error coins because this year marked important transitions in American coinage. The Mint was preparing for the upcoming 1999 state quarters program, even though it was still 15 years away. Production techniques were evolving with new technology, quality control systems were being updated and refined, and there was general innovation happening throughout the facility. So 1984 represents a fascinating snapshot of American minting at a moment of change and progress, which makes coins from this year particularly interesting to collectors who appreciate historical context alongside the coins themselves. The authentication and certification process for these triple errors is comprehensive because the stakes are so high. PCGS and NGC both employ their most experienced graders to examine potential examples. They conduct detailed die rotation measurements using precision equipment. They photograph and document every lamination flaw under high magnification. They compare doubled design elements against databases of known examples to verify authenticity, and they create extensive certification notes that become part of the coin's permanent record. All of this rigorous examination is necessary to protect both buyers and sellers in transactions involving coins worth tens of millions of dollars. Your complete action plan for hunting these treasures starts with gathering every 1984 quarter you can find, checking personal collections, change jars, piggy banks, asking family and friends if you can examine their quarters, buying rolls from banks, and never passing up an opportunity to check 1984 dates. Then systematically examine each coin for rotation errors using the flip method we described. Inspect surfaces under magnification for any lamination issues. Look for any evidence of design doubling, and remember that you're looking for the combination of all 3 errors, not just one. Because while single errors from 1984 have value, the true multi-million-dollar treasures are the triple error combinations. The psychological impact of discovering one of these coins is absolutely profound. Imagine the moment when you realize the quarter in your hand isn't just a quarter, but a ticket to complete financial transformation, When you understand that your willingness to look closely at something everyone else ignores has revealed a treasure worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. That moment of recognition is what keeps collectors hunting and checking and examining every single coin that passes through their hands, because they know the next quarter could be the one that changes everything. The preservation and storage of error coins, once you've identified them, is critical to maintaining their value. Any damage, cleaning, or mishandling after discovery can dramatically reduce what collectors are willing to pay. So the moment you identify a potential error, stop handling it directly. Place it in a protective holder immediately. Never attempt to clean it even if it looks dirty. Never test it with harsh chemicals or tools that could scratch it, and never show it around to unqualified people who might handle it improperly. Your goal is to get the coin from discovery to professional grading in the same condition you found it, preserving every original characteristic that makes it valuable. Here's what's truly beautiful about this entire treasure hunt. These coins prove that extraordinary value and life-changing wealth can exist in the most ordinary, overlooked places, that paying attention matters, that curiosity has real rewards, and that knowledge is genuinely powerful. Every quarter you check is a possibility. Every roll of coins could contain a fortune. And every moment you invest learning about these errors increases your chances of making a discovery that could transform your entire future. So take this knowledge, apply it practically, examine your quarters carefully, and never assume that ordinary pocket change can't hide extraordinary treasures. The numismatic community surrounding error coins is passionate and supportive, with thousands of collectors sharing information, posting discoveries, helping authenticate finds, and celebrating when people make life-changing discoveries. There are online forums, social media groups, YouTube channels, and local coin clubs where you can learn, share, and connect with others who understand the thrill of the hunt. And this community aspect makes collecting even more rewarding because you're not just hunting alone. You're part of a nationwide network of treasure seekers, all searching for the same miraculous finds. Make sure you've subscribed to NUMIS Treasure Hub. Give this video a thumbs up if these stories inspired you. Share it with everyone who handles pocket change. Drop a comment below if you're going to start checking your quarters. And stay tuned, because we're constantly revealing new coins, new errors, and new opportunities for you to discover wealth in the most unexpected places. Remember that knowledge is your greatest tool. Attention to detail is your superpower, and every single quarter you encounter represents possibility. Now go check those coin jars, examine your change, and start your own treasure hunting journey, because the next amazing discovery could be yours. The legacy of these 1984 triple error quarters extends beyond their monetary value, because they fundamentally change how collectors and even casual coin handlers think about modern pocket change. Before these errors became widely known, most people assumed that valuable coins were all old, rare historical pieces from the 1800s or early 1900s. But the discovery of modern quarters worth tens of millions proved that treasures can be recent, that they could be hiding in circulation right now, and that anyone willing to look carefully has a genuine shot at making discoveries that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. And that democratization of opportunity is what makes this hobby so incredible and so accessible to everyone, regardless of background or experience level. Now go forth with this knowledge and check every quarter that comes into your possession. Stay curious, stay observant, and remember that the next coin you handle could be the one that changes everything. Thank you for watching NUMIS Treasure Hub, and happy hunting for those treasures hiding in plain sight all around you.